Can you really keep pigs contained on pasture with temporary fencing? Is electric wire enough to keep them from escaping? At Heifer Ranch, we've raised pastured pigs for years using temporary fencing, and in this video, we'll show you step by step how to set up pig paddocks with electric fencing. Selecting supplies can be intimidating, but we'll show you exactly what you need, how to use it, and how to extend the life of your equipment so it'll last for years to come. Small-scale rotational grazing is easier than you think, so stay tuned until the end of this video when we'll show you the easiest way to move your pigs through this two-paddock system.
Hi, my name is Christine Hernandez. I'm the Livestock Manager for Heifer USA, and today I'm going to take you on a step-by-step process of how we set up a temporary electric pig fence. Today we are at a local farm and they are raising a batch of 4 pigs, keeping in mind that the steps we're doing today are exactly the same as if you were raising a batch of 50 pigs or 150 pigs. Everything can still be applied the same.
Whether you're raising 5 pigs or 500 pigs, you'll need to provide adequate space for your animals to thrive on pasture. We recommend a stocking rate of 100 pigs per acre for every paddock. That's a big batch of pigs, so for this video, let's imagine you're raising 10 pigs. Each paddock should be at least 1/10 of an acre, and your pigs will likely need to move every 5 to 10 days. Now, let's talk tools. You'll need specific equipment to construct each paddock. For this demonstration, we've partnered with Gallagher Animal Management to showcase our favorite tools, which our farmers use on pasture every single day. First, you'll need electric wire.
So as you're shopping for electric fence materials, you're going to see that there's a lot of different types of electric wire out there to use. So there's tapes, there's ropes, and then there's poly braids. We recommend the turbo braided wire. Within this turbo wire, there's going to be 9 metal filaments that are braided with this poly material. And so that's going to allow your wire to carry better voltage down the length of your fence. It's going to help keep it stronger. It's less likely to get tangled. And the turbo wire is going to make it more visible for the pigs to see it on your fence.
Next, you'll need an energizer to power your electric wire. We use lightweight solar chargers, which are easy to move from paddock to paddock. If you're raising a small group of pigs, the S30 Energizer is perfect. If you plan to raise larger batches of pigs or utilize the same equipment for other livestock species, we recommend the S100 Energizer.
I personally really like this charger because it has a high joule output, and then it has 2 different operating options. The first one is going to be a wildlife setting, and the second one is a livestock setting. So I like to use the wildlife setting when I'm using it for pigs. And what happens is that charger is going to pulse out that voltage at a more rapid pace than if it was on your livestock setting. And this is going to be sending out that same voltage the same amount of times, day and night. If you are on the livestock setting, that charger is going to be putting out more voltage during the day when that livestock is active, and it's actually going to put out a little bit less during nighttime when the animals are less active.
Alongside your charger, you'll need a grounding rod. We use Gallagher's 3-foot grounding rod, which has a T-shaped handle, so you can hammer it into the ground and remove it just as easily. Then, you'll need at least 50 step-in posts, which can hold polywire in place with notches at various heights. We use the HD tread-in posts, which have 9 notches for polywire and come in the signature Gallagher orange, making them easy to see on pasture. These posts also feature an extra hook, so you can create a sturdy corner brace. Finally, you'll need at least 2 jumper leads to transfer power and a fault finder to test the voltage of your temporary fence. Temporary fencing can be customized to your specific needs. Let's see Christine demonstrate a simple 2-paddock setup with 2 polywire reels per paddock. Step 1. Use tread-in posts to create the perimeter of your paddock.
I would typically go about every 10 paces and put in a new post. If the pigs are smaller and new to being out on the pasture, you might want to put your posts a little bit closer together. So maybe every 5 or 7 steps rather than 10. When you're putting your following post in the ground, you want the notches of your posts to be facing inside of your paddock so that your pig is going to interact with your wire before it interacts with your post, and your posts will help keep that wire in place.
If you come across hills, valleys, or ditches along your fence line, use additional posts placed closely together to secure the poly wire at a consistent distance from the ground. At the end of the paddock's first side, use an additional post to create a closed corner brace.
And the way I put this post in the ground is actually so that the notches are facing outward, and this is at a little bit of an angle. And so when you get your post, you'll have one that has this additional elbow on it. So you can use this elbow and you hook it into one of the openings of your corner post, and then that will help keep this post up straight so that it doesn't go inward as you're putting tension on your fence.
At the end of the paddock's second side, you'll create another corner brace, but this time don't hook the posts together. Just place them in the ground side by side to create an open corner brace where each post can be moved independently. When you move pigs out of this paddock, you'll remove one post to create an opening into the next paddock. More on that later. For now, repeat the steps above to form the last 2 sides of the paddock until you have a complete square with 2 closed braces in diagonal corners and 2 open braces in diagonal corners. Then move on to step 2. Run electric wire through each post to create a secure perimeter. For this demonstration, Christine is setting up a 2-strand perimeter. Starting at an open corner, she'll string the turbo wire through the 3rd notch from the bottom of the post until she reaches the other open corner. Here, she'll use the same reel to double back, creating a 2nd strand just above the 1st, secured on the 4th notch from the bottom.
With pigs of this size, you want to make sure that you have one strand that is always visible at their eye level as they're just standing. Then you want to make sure that you have that 2nd strand low enough so that they will run into it if they are rooting around, and that will help prevent them from trying to go underneath that wire.
As your pigs get bigger, you can move from 2 strands of electric wire to 1 strand, making paddock setup and tear down faster. But how do you make sure your wire is cut to the right length? And how do you attach it to the posts?
The first thing I do, and a tip that I recommend, is that you just create a permanent knot at the end of your wire. That way it is always ready to be put onto the next fence. You don't ever have to worry about trying to untie this knot. It just slips right onto your notch. So the way I like to start my fence is to go behind your post, take this loop we just created, put it on the notch. I like to put it at the bottom of the notch. If you put it at the top and you're pulling tension on it, that can cause them to get brittle and frail and your notches can break off. So I like to put it at the bottom, wrap it behind the post. That way it's your post that is going to be holding all of your tension rather than your notch. Wrap it around once and then you're ready to continue along your line. I like to hold the reel in one hand in front of me, and then I use my other hand just as a guide. It's going to unwind itself. I use my right hand and then I just loop it onto the notch. As you put your wire through your notch, the top of it is going to help keep the wire in place. If the post was put in incorrectly, your wire would be able to just slip out.
When you reach the closed corner brace, thread the wire through each post like normal and continue until you've strung the paddock's 2nd side.
We are at the end of our fence for the 1st strand of wire, and since we're going to be using the same reel to do our 2nd strand, I'm going to show you how to end it here and then move up without cutting any of your wire or tying any more knots. So you'll put it through your notch of choice. You're going to wrap it around twice and jump up to your next notch, and you're ready to continue onto your next line. If you use this setup, it will help ensure that you're not losing any of your tension on your 1st line as you're stringing out your 2nd line.
At the end of the paddock's 2nd side is the other open corner, where you'll eventually create a pathway for your next paddock. If you use the same reel to continue your perimeter fence, it will be much harder to create that opening. When it's time for step 3, terminating your electric wire, use Christine's method to secure your fence line without damaging your poly wire.
Make sure you have some extra wire pulled off of your reel. You want to try and match the tension between your top line and your bottom line. To terminate your fence, I wrap the wire around the notch once and then twice. On the third pass behind, I create a loop and I'm pulling this behind the length of the post. Wrap it around both of those wires a couple times. You'll end up with a shorter loop. Attach that to your notch. So there's no knots involved here. You don't have to worry about having to untie it to pick it up and set up your next paddock. You can just simply unhook your loop, unwind it all, and you're ready to go.
Now that you've built 2 sides of the paddock, don't move. Starting at the open corner where you just terminated your first strand of poly wire, use a new reel to create the remaining 2 sides of the paddock, repeating steps 2 and 3 of these instructions. Grab a short length of rope or baling twine and tie together the 2 posts of each open corner with a simple knot.
Now that your wire is connected to your post, your strands are nice and tight, what do you do with your reel? So you want to make sure that all of your wire is onto your reel and none of it's touching the ground, because that's going to cause you to lose voltage. So roll up all of your extra wire, and I just like to place it on the ground next to my post. You know, if you have a ton of wire on there and your wire is touching the ground, you might want to turn it sideways so that it's just your reel touching the ground and none of your wire.
You're almost ready to herd your hogs into their new home. But first,
be sure to take just a few minutes and walk that fence. You want to make sure that it's not sagging anywhere, that it's not caught on anything, and just make sure that your wire is properly in all of your fence post notches so that it's good to go for when you move your pigs in here.
Now, it's time to electrify your perimeter with step 4, setting up your solar charger. Place the charger just outside of the paddock, elevated off the ground. You can set it on something you have handy, like a sturdy bucket, or you can attach it to a T-post.
What I like about the S100 is that you can put this charger on a T-post and it can go in any direction. You want to make sure that your panel is facing the sun. So for us, we want it facing the south. This charger is going to convert that sunlight into stored energy so that these chargers can work on days where you're not getting very much sun, and then also at nighttime.
Just beside the charger, drive a grounding rod into the soil.
You want to use a hammer or a mallet and get this 3-foot ground rod as far into the ground as you possibly can. Depending on your location and your soil, it may be easier said than done. If you're in a rocky location, trying to put it in at an angle can sometimes get you more into the ground than just trying to go straight down. Sometimes you will need to have more than one grounding rod. Place your additional one at least 5 feet away from your first grounding rod. Connect those grounding rods with some insulated high tensile wire.
Now, you'll connect the grounding rods to the charger, like this.
Your red lead is going to go to your fence. This is going to be your hot end. Your green lead is going to go and connect to your ground. So G green for G ground.
These jumper leads are essential in an electric fencing setup, so Christine has developed an easy method to store them safely.
So to help keep these leads from breaking or cracking, I just roll up the leads and I use this Velcro strap to connect these leads onto the charger. You can find them online or in other stores. That way it's all contained and all together, and these long leads are not able to get caught on anything else.
Now, you'll use a similar lead to ensure power flows from your charger to both reels in your paddock. At each open corner, attach one clamp to your top strand. Wrap it around the fence posts 2 or 3 times, then attach the remaining clamp to the other side's top strand. Finally, it's time to turn on the solar charger and verify that your fence is hot with the Gallagher fault finder.
Put your wire going across this metal plate on your fault finder, and you will use your thumb and put it over this grounding symbol here. So this fence is currently running at 7.7 kilovolts, and every time you see that electrical symbol, that is that pulse going through the wire. The other number on the fault finder is going to be amps.
And this number, though very small, can create big problems if ignored. For example, at this spot, the fence is losing 0.3 amps of power, weakening the perimeter of the paddock. That means there's an issue, or fault, somewhere along the fence line. Maybe a branch has fallen on the fence after a heavy wind, creating an additional ground. Here's how the fault finder can help you quickly locate the issue.
It's going to give you an arrow in the direction that current is going. You can measure every 10 paces or 20 paces, and as that number is getting higher, you're getting closer to where that ground is.
As you approach the fault, look for any debris that could be grounding your fence. Remove it and double check that your fence is hot. If so, your paddock is ready for piggies. Now that you've set up your first paddock, you can use this design to construct as many paddocks as you need, one after another, each connecting to the last. Thanks to the two open corners of this design, you can build the next paddock on any side and customize your layout to the shape of your pastures, like this, or even this. The trick to make this system work is simple. Mirror the design of the existing paddock, ensuring that the new paddock shares an open corner brace with the first. With your second paddock established, it's quick and easy to move your pigs into their new area. Starting in paddock 2, lift the tread-in post at the open corner and replace it to create a 90-degree angle with your fence line. In just a moment, this area will serve as an alleyway to usher the pigs into the new paddock. To open this pathway, return to paddock 1 and lift the corner tread-in post. This time, you'll create a 180-degree angle, placing the tread-in post along the existing fence line. If you made another alleyway here, your pigs could get confused and struggle to find their way out of the first paddock. Instead, you'll make a wide opening at the pig's eye line, sparking their natural curiosity. As they follow their instinct to explore, you can use low-stress handling tools like sorting boards and rattle devices to herd them into the new paddock. When all the pigs have entered the new paddock, use the tread-in post to close the perimeter of the fence. Relocate your solar charger and grounding rod if necessary, and turn on the power of the pig's new paddock. Then, when you disassemble the first paddock, you'll have all the supplies you need to build your next paddock. This paddock setup system lets you build 2 paddocks at a time, so you can always have a new paddock prepared for your pigs. Grab all the supplies you need in Gallagher's Build-A-Paddock Starter Kit, available at the link in the description. Be sure to use coupon code HEIFERUSA for 10% off your entire order. Then, we want to know what questions you have about raising pigs on pasture. Head to the comments, ask away, and we'll have Christine answer your questions in an upcoming video series. Now, learn how to train pigs to electric wire with this tutorial, or see every step of the paddock move process for pastured pigs with this video.